Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Startup Garage Podcast, your source for all things startups. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Robert Schultz on the line, and he's founder and CEO over at Solivo Pharmaceuticals. Bob, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Oh, man, so I'm excited to get into today's topic. So minutes matter in the emergency department of hospitals. I mean, the problems that you're solving, minutes do literally matter. So I want to get into that. But before we do, I do want to learn a little bit more about the company for both me and the listeners. So tell us a little bit more about Solivo Pharmaceuticals, please.
Yes, Solivo was founded in early 2018, and the basis for the company was to look for ways that we could repurpose old drugs. In other words, teach old drugs new tricks. And by doing that, you'll find that the approval process is much abbreviated. You're able to use the safety data of the existing drugs. So you're looking at, being able to get approval through the FDA in a reasonable 3 to 4 year time frame. So that was the basis upon which we started to screen drugs for the company, and we have landed on a very interesting compound that will be a game-changing sedative that we can use in the hospitals, emergency departments when violent or aggressive patients are treated in that situation. So it's an area that is a high unmet medical need. And so we started to focus our company on a particular drug where minutes matter. So where we could differentiate this repurposed drug from other intramuscular delivered drugs, because as these patients come in, they don't have they can't put an intravenous route into them. They're obviously too violent. So we found that with the physicians, that this is the emergency department physicians, this is a very important topic for them. So the company is raising $6 million right now to essentially take us into the clinic. We have been working on the program, and we have de-risked the commercial as well as the development risk and regulatory risk. So we're ready to really move forward in expedited fashion to get this into patients.
And for what you can tell on the podcast, and this is being recorded in April of 2020, how far along are you? Are you pretty close to getting, your raise taken care of so you can get that to market, or just trying to get a feel on how it's going, how everything's going?
So we have funded the company for the last year and a half to get us through our FDA meeting. We have selected our and actually been working on the development of the product. And we've also done a considerable amount of market research to demonstrate that, the doctors really, it's one of those things, if you build it, will they come? And we absolutely have confirmed that. And so we're ready to take the $6 million. So essentially, we will be on the road looking to finance the company now to the $6 million level so we can actually take it to the clinic.
That's awesome. And I do want to spend a little bit more time. So that's a great overview, and thank you. And I want to spend a little bit more time on the problem and the thought process of minutes mattering. Tell us a little bit more about what you learned kind of in your research and obviously coming up and settling on this is a problem that you want to solve.
So what was interesting is that 5 to 10% of all emergency room visits deal with a violent or aggressive patient. And that's a very large statistic. And when you look at the consequences of trying to treat these violent patients that are coming in, you find that the nurses and staff tend to be the ones that get injured. And the injury a significant injury to a nurse or a physician or other hospital staff usually puts this person out for some considerable period of time. And when we started to look at the cost to the hospital of having to look at workman's comp, replacing nurses, the downtime that it takes, it's significant. So when you talk about minutes matter, when the current products typically have an onset of action of 15 to 40 minutes, that's a long time to be restrained.
This is a long time. Yeah.
So what we have is a product that can essentially do it in less than 10 minutes. So it's a significant advantage. So if we could reduce 1 to 2 to 3 incidents of injuries in a hospital, even per year, would pay for all the drug many times over. So that was the key that turned me on to this, because the clinical, we already had clinical proof of concept that this particular drug acts very rapidly.
Wow, that's amazing, and I love it. So I mean, you're reducing you get from 40 minutes to 10 minutes. I'm never worked in an emergency room or anything like that, but I just can't imagine what it's like, that 40 minutes versus 10. I mean, you're really taking a lot of the risk out of that. Obviously, there's still risk, but you're doing a lot there to mitigate part of it. So that being said, Bob, if somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about Solevo Pharmaceuticals, I mean, what's the best way for them to follow up, and what's the best way for them to connect with your team?
So I think the best way is to go to the website, which is solevopharm.net. That's SOLLIEVOPHARM.net. And you can read considerably more about the problem of violence in the emergency department, and all the contact information is on the website.
Fantastic. Well, Bob, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about the work you're doing over at Solevo Pharmaceuticals to help our doctors and to help our medical professionals and the patients also from, harming themselves during these times and these kind of really highly elevated periods in the emergency rooms. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review in the Apple iTunes store. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Startup Garage, definitely give that a subscribe, but also leave us some comments in the video. I mean, love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Bob, thanks again for coming on the show.